All right, so we are live. Very nice. No one here. I see that at night there's like a lot of people, but during the day there's very few people. So maybe we should stream at night. Like at 8 p.m. last night, there were like 6 people at one point. So I don't know. Anyway, let's see what we got. Um, Let me figure this out. So let's share. I don't know if we're gonna do a full hour. We'll see. We'll see if there's anything interesting. Last night we had some pretty interesting debates. All right, Discord. There you go. Where are we? So we were on Moxie server last night, which is a tiny server, but a good server. Anyway, let's continue to debate hacks. No one. Discord debates. KFC. Vegan planet debate. Let's debate. No one. Nameless. No one. Debates. No one. Ask no one. From the beginning again. All right. So do we have a message? We have pending. Schiller. Okay. It's good to have new friends. Uh Kinda opinions do you have? Oh. I'm all over. I'm all over. All right. Still no comments. No one has joined us. Wait, let's check the audio. How's the audio? Okay. All right. Uh, uh, thank you. All right. What's this? Okay, because I love a formal debate. I just don't know what about. Oh. Now. Um, Available now for an hour. All right. Let's see. War of Words. Taryn is here. Let's see if Taryn is not crazy today. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello. One
Hey.
hello.
No.
Hey. Anyone wants to debate? Anything?
Oh, dude, you get destroyed by turning debates all the time.
Wait, what? I can't understand.
Apparently, I'm difficult to talk to.
Who is? Wait. Who said that?
I did. Taryn said
Taryn.
that.
You're difficult. What do you mean?
Well, these are your words repeatedly. I'm apparently difficult to talk to.
I mean,
Also
you
very
have noise in the
encouraging.
background. Someone has noise in the background. What do you
I
mean?
didn't hear that.
Wait, I just said that you're difficult to talk to? I wasn't even
No,
paying
you said
attention.
so previously, many
Previously?
times,
I mean,
with
fine.
and without my presence. Yes,
With and without your permission?
her presence.
Presence? Oh,
Why would you
okay.
need my permission to say that? That's ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you think you avoided talking to me a couple of times or something? I mean,
I don't recall avoiding talking to you. However,
mhm.
avoiding talking to someone does not make them difficult to talk to. Because I'm pretty sure 99% of people would avoid talking to 99% of people 99% of the time
I
by
mean,
default. That's normal.
relative. I'm saying relative to other people on on Discord. I
Sounds
mean,
like
you're.
gibberish, dude.
Excuse me.
Sounds like gibberish, dude, based on no evidence whatsoever. I'm one of the most approachable people in the world.
Impressionable,
Approachable.
approachable. Yeah, you're approachable, but you were difficult to talk to. I mean, I'm
No,
always
based on your presence, it sounds like no. I'm actually quite easy to talk to.
yeah,
I
you're
think many
easy.
people would argue that you're difficult to talk to.
You're easy to talk to, but you're easy also to like stop the conversation. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
completely.
I'm not going to allow gish galloping and sea lining and stuff like that, and ad hominem and populum fallacies, that regular use of fallacies. That's just wasting people's time. I know when to engage someone and when to not engage someone when they're trying to waste my time.
That's
Maybe you should look at the quality of your words, because this doesn't happen in a vacuum. You're quite well known for this behavior, aren't you?
I'm well known for this behavior. What do you mean?
Yeah, for misbehavior,
Misbe
wasting
I'm well.
people's time, being degenerate. It's in your name, dude. Slave.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Let's stop the ad hominem. Let's not reference each other. Do you
Okay,
want?
bye bye.
There you go. Wait. Do you? So you don't want to talk? Oh, he kicked me out of his server. That's probably banned me. I guess I don't know. You see, like nothing but ad hominem. I'm completely approachable. I'm the most approachable. Bye bye. Let's stop the ad hominem. Bye bye. And kick me out of his server. Wonderful. What a wonderful person. Yeah, it looks like it's locked, so he banned me. Whatever. Okay, fine. What do we got here? Over the next thing, we need to pick a topic, pick a time, maybe have a moderator. I stream every day, 11 a.m. for now. All right, let's see what else we got. So, War of Words, that was Taryn. Yeah, he very approachable, very nice person, obviously. Storm Cloud, nothing. On the level, let's see if.
Answer would be 2.
Perpendicular.
Good morning.
Oh,
Is
here
is
we
that
go.
wrong? Is that the wrong answer?
Well, so there is no wrong answer. There's 3 different answers. That's the thing.
So
Then
according to the globe model that I was brought up with,
Mhm.
the answer would be 2, I think.
And then you couldn't have them at right angles to each other, can you? Because they're curves.
So 2 circles. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. They can only be at right angles at the absolute dead center. And then
Hey.
after that, they start to diverge.
Sorry to interrupt. Anybody looking for a debate?
Dude, I think we've been over this, right? Can anybody actually debate with somebody that hasn't got a sense of logic?
I
I'd say
keep
no.
answering the question that
Can we debate the pros and cons of having an owner and wearing a shock collar?
why? That's that's
Can
actually
someone fill me in on why this is this like an in joke or a running?
No, sorry. Mr. Slave here is a traveling debater.
Yeah.
He goes around Discord servers and offers people to debate. He has a list of topics that he wants to do. All of them are as ridiculous as each other, with contradictory fallacies embedded in it. It's just amazing, really, when you take a list of it. And then once you try and debate them, he takes you to a brain in a vat. Sort of like he gets you to imagine all sorts of strange scenarios so he can. I mean, what were you doing? He's a
is any of
scientist.
it actually testable in the real world?
No, but all of this is going on while his owner's shocking him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so does anyone want to debate? That's that's
Do you want to debate anything that's actually testable?
Sure, I'll debate anything, period, whether it's testable or not.
Yeah,
Is it
okay.
testable, though?
Take it.
Yeah,
Be
I
aware
need
that
to make sure that it's testable.
he's recording this on YouTube.
Yeah, this is
it's
on
going
YouTube.
live to YouTube.
Yeah, so don't say anything.
Oh, right.
personal.
You're one of those, are you? Okay.
So, do you have any topic? I mean, I have a list of topics. You can choose one or propose your own.
Nah, I've been through these games before, my friend.
He's willing to change his topics even midway through
I think what I'll do
debate.
is save you the pain and anguish of having to render this video for your YouTube audience?
It's live. What do you mean render?
It's live. Yeah. This is part of it.
Oh,
You're
It's
famous.
showtime.
how many likes have you got so far? How many questions?
He has a panel. What
I
does
have
the panel say?
Well, right now I have just viewers, but right now there's no one. I mean, I'm thinking to switch to night instead of day. I'm in New York City, so there's very few people.
Why don't you ask the audience what they think?
There's
What's
no
their
one.
number one question right now?
There's no one in the audience right now. We're all alone. It's streamed and recorded. Anyway, but look, I have a list of topics. I'll tell you the last topic if you wanna, if that might be interesting. So there is no banking crisis. It's all fake.
Is that a new one?
Yeah, it's a new one.
I sort of
number
agree with that.
45. Oh, you sort of agree with that? Well, what's your evidence?
What, the banking crisis is all fake?
Here, I pasted my reasoning.
That
but
was his position. Now he's asking you for
started
evidence
with
of
the
your
position.
side.
Don't you have to back it up? I mean, I'm agreeing with the position you proposed.
Here, I have a. I mean, we can go into my backing. I'm curious what yours is. I mean, you.
But you proposed it, so I think you should start.
No, but we're not. I mean, what are we debating if we agree? But fine. There's no banking crisis. There is no evidence of a banking crisis.
Is that it?
I mean, I could stop there.
He's pretty good at debating, right? You know, he's a traveling debater. You can tell, can't you?
I mean, right?
Skilled.
You said, is it testable? I mean, there was no evidence. What's the evidence that there is a banking crisis? What's the evidence? I mean, is there any
I think you need
evidence?
to define what it means first. What is a banking crisis?
That's a good question.
Identity.
What is a banking crisis?
I don't want to derail your Discord server, by the way, guys. So if this
No,
gets
it's all right.
off
No,
the rails,
this is
just
dude,
mute me
you
or
feel free.
mute both of us.
No, you feel free, mate.
Anyway, the definition of a banking crisis, I guess banks filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Is
that a crisis? Isn't that just the normal course of events that happens when a business runs out of money?
Even that's correct. So even if, so you're right. I mean, right. So it's actually very difficult to have a banking crisis because banks going into bankruptcy, like all businesses, is part of normal economy. The economy, not all businesses succeed. Most businesses fail very quickly, sometimes not so quickly. But you expect all businesses to fail at one point or another, just like all humans die at one point or another. All institutions die at one point or another. All countries, all empires die at one point or another. You don't expect anything to live forever. So, yeah, you're right. So nothing makes any sense. I mean, you cannot even get through a good definition of a banking crisis.
I think we agree then that it doesn't exist. So
yeah.
Should we move on to the next topic?
Sure. All right. The last one is
do the 1 + 1 = 2.
No, we've been through this.
Do that one. Go on. Let's see how he does.
It's too boring. It's too boring.
Anyway, no, that's a good one.
Causing a recession cannot fight inflation. What's your opinion? Do you think causing a recession can fight inflation?
Causing a recession cannot. Hang on, wait. The question is,
let's
frame
it positively. Let's say it positively. Yeah. Causing a recession can fight inflation.
Causing a recession can fight inflation.
Let's say causing. Yeah, it's still negative on negative. Causing a
recession is a negative.
Yeah, a recession is a negative. Inflation. Yeah, everything is upside down. It's very difficult. But
all right.
But I mean, this is headlines for the last couple of months. I mean, how to stop inflation, how to fight inflation. So they say,
stop printing money that's backed by nothing. There you go. I've solved the problem.
The question is, right? Stop printing money. I mean, we could talk about what that means.
Do we need to? Do we need to? Inventing money that is in circulation, that's backed by nothing, will cause inflation.
Why is
It just
that?
will.
Why would that be?
Well, imagine you've got a pint of liquid,
No, no,
right?
no.
Pure liquid.
No. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I mean, you're not the first one to say this. This is a common.
It's a very simple concept, right?
Yeah.
Diluting the pond. You're diluting the pond.
Right, but I mean, the government. I mean, are they just printing money? Because as far as I know,
They're not really printing money. They're not actually physically printing money. That the part of the money that's physical cash is a tiny proportion of the overall money supply.
I know, right? But I mean, are they really just increasing the amount of money in circulation?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes. They are.
isn't the government borrowing money from the Fed?
No. They're not borrowing it from anyone. They're creating it out of thin air.
No, the Fed is creating money out of thin air. Yes, but
So there's a link there between something that's creating the money out of thin air and the person that's borrowing it. So essentially, you can remove the link and just say they're creating it out of thin air. There's nothing to link those two things that's actually tangible. So it's just being created out of thin air.
yeah, ultimately, you're right.
It's not backed by anything. It's just numbers. It's just digits.
Right. But
and
no,
sheets.
but the government is writing a contract, right?
which is
an
a
a
what?
bond. A bond. The government is writing.
Which is what exactly? Tangibly, what is a
It's a
bond?
piece of paper. It's an IOU, and then the government gives
Which is
it.
what though? What if you were to describe a bond in non-fiscal terms? What is a bond?
It's a contract. It says on it literally the holder of this piece of paper. Whoever is signed at the bottom, I will pay them X on this date and time, and I will pay them every month or every year, whatever.
That sounds to me like a promise.
Yeah, it's a contract. It's a one-way contract.
It's a promise. It's a promise to pay something.
Yeah.
Of value.
Yeah.
At a certain date.
Yeah. So
what value does that promise have in reality?
I mean, bonds are very strong because, governments don't default. Usually governments are the last to default, especially the US government. I mean,
can you catch a promise in a net? Can you pour a promise into a bucket?
If it's written on a piece of paper, yeah.
Can you pour words on a piece of paper into a bucket?
I don't understand the question.
How many words fit into a bucket?
I don't understand. Why do you want it to be tangible like water? I don't understand.
Because the point is, it's all intangible. It's all made up.
Well, it's a
None
contract.
of it matters.
It's a contract.
It's just a promise. It's just a promise. That's all it is.
What do you mean, the bond?
A contract is a promise. A contract is a formal promise.
But you can go to court.
It's protected by legislature, which means that you have the protection of certain authorities, but it's just a promise.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's backed by anything tangible. It doesn't mean that it's ever going to be realized.
What do you mean? I mean, if you don't pay me what you promised to pay me, I will go to court, and the court, at the end of the day, will force you one way or the other either to pay or will force you into bankruptcy or something. You're going to end up paying. Right. And that's going to be
that's right, yeah.
And that's going to be tangible. I mean, you will feel
at the end of the day. But what happens if you can keep converting those bonds, which are promises, into different kinds of bonds, which extend out indefinitely, into the future,
I mean, it's
which
not,
has no limit, by
but
the
not
way.
indefinite. I mean, a bond has an expiration. Every bond has.
Every bond has an expiration date, but you can convert any bond into any other bond by
can-
simply
you can.
converting it, right?
What do you mean?
You can do a
trade?
swap.
What do you mean? You can
You
trade.
can do a trade. You can do a trade. You can do a swap.
I don't know about a swap, but I know you can trade bonds. There is a market of bond trading.
That's right, yeah. And when a bond matures, it becomes worthless, right? It's utterly worthless. The principal of the bond
I mean, when it matures, you go.
arrives at the holder's hands if the principal exists, and if it doesn't, it's written off.
Wait a minute. When the bond matures, you go to whoever gave you the bond, or the originator of the bond. You go to them and you give it to them, and they give you whatever it says they need to give you. If they don't, you go to court. You sue them. They have to give you what it says, and every month they have to give you what it says that they have to give you, like interest.
Guess what? The bond market doesn't work like that. They give you another bond in return. They say, here's a bond in return for your bond.
What do you mean they? I mean,
It's
you go.
Kicking
It's
the can down the road.
What do
In
you-
reality,
but
right,
it says. But it's.
what's actually happening. What's actually happening
What do you
is the
mean
promise that was
actually?
originally made
What do you
way
mean?
back in the beginning
Wait a minute. It
is
says.
being kicked down the road,
Wait a
and
minute.
it's never actually realized in
Wait a minute.
reality, the world that we actually live in.
I don't know what that means. The bond says on it literally that
Yes. How many bonds do you think are actually? How many bonds do you think are collected in reality in terms of something other than the bond's digital value or nominal value?
I don't understand. I don't understand.
If you hold a bond, how many people do you think go to the shop that sells bonds and says, "Give me something
I
else
mean,
other
it
than
has
bonds"?
after its expiration date, as you said, you can go to the originator and ask them to pay you what it says they need to pay you. I'm not
That's a
aware.
nice theory. How many people do that?
I don't know.
How many people cash in their bonds?
I assume everyone. Why wouldn't you? Why would you trade
No.
a bond?
What actually happens in the bond market is people trade bonds for more bonds.
That's fine, but when a bond expires, what are you supposed to do with it? You're gonna still trade it after it expires?
All bonds are traded on the market for more bonds. That's the way the market flows. Nobody cashes in on bonds.
What
The
about
only
a
time
bond?
bonds are actually cashed in is in the consumer market when you've got something like a
What
I don't
happens?
know,
Wait,
a commercial coupon, for example.
what
You
happens?
might have something like a government bond that's been given to you by your grandparents. It's like
Let
$1,000.
me
You can cash that in.
hold on,
Yeah,
hold on.
that doesn't affect the market.
Hold on. Let me look up. Let me Google this. What happens when a bond expires? Key takeaways. Bond's term maturity is the period during which its owner will receive interest payments on the investment. When the bond reaches maturity, the owner is repaid its par or face value. This is Investopedia.
Yes, the principal. That's known as the principal.
So what? That's what it says. You're paid. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, how often does that actually happen?
According to Google, that is what happens, period. There's no alternative. Google doesn't say, well,
Doesn't happen.
sometimes.
Doesn't happen. It happens
Here,
in digital.
let me see.
It happens in digital markets where the principal is repaid in other assets which are equivalent to the value of the bond, which are usually other bonds.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's see Google. So, how do you redeem a bond after maturity? So the bonds are redeemed on the date of maturity, on surrender of the duly discharged bonds certificates.
You're not reading from Google, are you?
Yeah, this is Google, google.com.
Okay.
Bond certificates by signing on the reverse of the bonds with revenue stamp of RE1- minus, whatever, by registered bond holders. The record date for redemption is 1 month prior to the deemed date of encashment / redemption. This is from IDBI Bank. I guess India. So I don't know. I mean, you go to whoever issued the bond, and you sign it just like a check. Apparently, you hand it
Yeah,
to
that doesn't
them.
happen. That doesn't happen, right? The
That
person who's
doesn't
holding the
happen.
bond doesn't do that. They pass it to a broker. The broker handles that deal for them. And what happens in reality is the broker switches the value of the bond that's about to mature for a bond that's about to go into the next
What do
10
you mean
years or 5
switches?
years or whatever
What do
the
you mean
period is.
switches? Well, I don't know what that means. Switches.
It's
Physically, what
the
does it
way
do?
the financial markets work. There's no transfer of physical assets going on. Nobody's signing anything. Okay, there's no paper being transferred. It's all done digitally.
Let's see another one. I mean, no one in Google says this. Let's see the next one. Do you get
Yeah,
all
because
your?
no one in Google, the page you're looking at,
Can you find
is
me?
actually
Can you
working
find me
in
a
the financial
source?
market.
Fine. Can you find me a source? Investor.gov.
Look at investopedia.org.
That
Look
was
at
the
how
first thing I
bonds
read to you. I read your
look at how
Investopedia.
bonds mature and how they're actually cashed in the financial markets, right? What is the process of settling a bond?
Can you find me a source that to support your claim that bonds are never cashed? Can you find me a source?
Anyway, right. Anyway, just take it for granted, right?
No.
As
What do you
somebody
mean?
who has happened to
Why
work
can't
in this
you?
industry
Why
for
can't
20
you?
years, I think
I don't have a
understand
problem.
it. So.
Okay, appeal to authority. Can you please find me a source?
Appeal to authority. See, this is
I mean,
what you.
I do it.
Sorry,
I do it all
Dave,
the
that you
time.
have to
I actually do it.
experience
Investors
this.
who
Never
hold a
mind.
bond to maturity, when it becomes due, get back the face value or par value of the bond.
Yes, that's how an individual bond is ostensibly cashed in, right? What actually happens in reality is each one is traded on the open market between brokers.
Can you find me a source to support your claim? I
I
don't.
am your
Holy
source.
shit!
Yeah, I
am
am
your
the
source.
Why am I? Why is this so
you
difficult?
can speak to anyone else who works in securities. They'll tell
I
you the same
am
thing.
literally.
Nobody trades paper
Why is it
bonds.
so
Nobody
difficult?
signs anything.
Why is it so
There
difficult?
are no
Nobody signs
physical
anything.
paper bonds being traded. What the hell?
The way the credit market works, isn't it? Is it's all digital transactions, right?
Can
It's
you give me
contracts, as you said rightly.
Can you
that
give
it's
me
all
a
contract.
source? Yes, sir. I mean, please give me a source. Otherwise, I all the sources I have in Google say the opposite.
And when a bond is about to expire, the person who's owing that principal will trade it for another bond, and
wait,
the can gets kicked down that road.
What do you mean? But you cannot have infinite regression. This is there's no.
Yes, you can, because you can always print more bonds, because all the
But
bonds
what happens to
originate
the
at the
old?
Treasury.
But what
All
happens
of
to
them.
the old bond, the one that matured? What happens to it?
It expires.
And
it
what
expires.
what do you do once
it's written off?
What do you mean?
It's written off. The balance sheet is adjusted. The new bond takes its place.
What do you mean it's written off? I mean, who writes it off?
Do you understand how a balance sheet works?
Who writes it off? Who are we talking about?
Do you understand
Do
do you know what journal entries are?
No, only one person. I'm only
I
pointing to one
can do that if
person.
you like. I can explain liabilities and assets on a balance sheet.
Who writes it off?
This is the new sophistry. This is modern day debate.
Why
You're not engaging in a conversation.
All you need to understand is that the
not
thing that you're
answering the
trading in doesn't
question?
actually exist. Therefore, you
Why
don't
can't
need to
you
do anything
answer a
other
sim-
than just strike it off your spreadsheet.
What do you
and
mean
it's gone.
strike it? Who does that? Do I do that? Who does that? Who just writes it off? I don't understand. I paid money for this bond, and you tell me when it matures, I just write it off as a loss?
No,
What?
you take something in return for that bond. You
What
either
do you
take
mean?
principal,
I want
which is
money. It
cash,
says
or you take another
oh,
bond.
so I take cash. Fine, done. That's
No,
all.
nobody takes cash, right?
do
Nobody
you mean
cashes in bonds.
nobody?
In the bond market, nobody cashes in bonds. It doesn't happen. They trade bonds for bonds.
Okay,
bonds trade
you're
for
not
bonds.
giving me a source. I'll look it up specifically. So you're
Google
saying
it.
I'm going to
Google it.
Google what
Oh
you
my
The
just
reason
God.
why nobody trades for cash is because cash is inefficient, and you have to
Hold
trade
on,
that with
fine,
someone
fine,
else. So it's easier to trade it for another bond.
Okay.
So that's why the bond market exists. That's why
So
that's why
tell
the
me.
entire credit market
Okay,
exists.
can you? All right,
It's just people swapping
all right.
things on a spreadsheet for other
Yes,
things
you're
on a
repeating
spreadsheet.
yourself. You're repeating yourself. So I need sources. So tell me what to Google in order to give support to your claim. Tell me what to Google. I'll Google it. You don't want to Google?
Google, how do I get into business school? Google that.
Anyway,
one person.
I think
only one
we've already gone past the barrier of what's worth talking about on the bond market, and it's not a financial Discord server. So
wait,
what's the next topic?
You're not going to give me a source? You're not going to
I'm not
even
sitting
help me
here with
the-
Google at my disposal or Chat
So
GPT
I
for that
will
matter
Google
to
it
give you
for.
sources.
I
Just
will.
trust me, right?
What,
Trust me on this. Look it up later, right? You don't need to do it right now. Look it up later. This is how the bond market works. I trust. This is how it
it
functions.
doesn't make any sense. What you're saying doesn't make any sense. You
It does make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It does
Because
make sense.
you're
The
saying
trading of assets is always done like for like,
it makes
wherever
no.
possible.
It doesn't
Right?
make.
Haggling was done before cash existed. You
It
used to
doesn't
try
make
and
any.
trade things that were worth similar value. That's how the bond
You're
market
saying
works.
someone at the end writes it off as a loss. Who does that?
No, I didn't say.
Who
I
never
didn't say
said
a
that?
loss. I
So
didn't
you
say a
said.
loss.
So what does it mean write off? What is the definition of write off?
Right, written off just means struck off the balance sheet.
That's
That's
a
all it means.
loss. That's the definition of a
No, it
loss.
doesn't. It just means
Okay,
it's
what
no longer on
is
the balance sheet.
okay? So what is the definition of a write off? Dismiss someone, cancel the record of a bad debt, acknowledge the loss. But this is the Google definition. Acknowledge the loss of or failure to recover an asset. It's a loss. So
I mean, if
you're
you're
saying
speaking
someone
about a loss, then
what?
a write-off is a loss. Yes, but
Yeah,
written
that's
off in accounting
definition.
terms does not
Google,
mean a loss. It means struck off the balance sheet.
but that's the definition of a loss.
Written off means taken off the balance sheet,
Fine.
and it's replaced by something of
Why would
equivalent
anyone?
value,
Why would
which
anyone do
replaces
that?
it.
Why would anyone write off a loss?
You know that scene in Indiana Jones where he's trying to take the statue off the pillar, right? And he replaces it with a bag of sand because he thinks it's like the same weight,
Yeah.
and he thinks he's got the statue.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is essentially trying to conduct a bond trade in that moment.
That's
right?
fine.
That is how it works.
That's fine. But at the end, look, someone created the bond out of thin air, right?
Correct.
Good. Now, the bond's life has an expiration date. Let's say it's a 1-year bond. After 1 year, right? Right. You created the bond. Let's say the government created a 1-year bond out of thin air, signed its name on it, and gave it to me, and I bought it from the government. Let's say it's $100 bond. I gave the government $100. In 1 year, they're going to pay me $110. 10% interest rate over 1 year. Fantastic. Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent return on the investment. All right. At the end of the year, I come back, I give them back the bond, they give me $110 and they destroy the bond. No?
Correct. That's how it works in the consumer market. Yes, you would get your $110 and you'd be quite happy with that.
All right. So so that's it. So the government
Yeah,
creates
it doesn't work like that in the bond market.
What do you mean?
That's not how bonds are traded.
No. But I mean, it's not how they're traded, but when they
People
expire,
don't cash in bond, right?
you're
You
saying, so what
don't
happens?
you don't take your money to the bank and cash it in for notes, and
so
then
you're saying,
put your notes
so
into an ATM and change it back to another bank account. That's inefficient.
are you saying that bonds live forever and I can still see bonds
No,
from
I'm not
1,000
saying
years
that.
ago? Wait, so I
No,
don't.
bonds expire. They have a finite lifespan.
So when they
And when
expire,
they
you
expire,
go.
they are traded in something that has a new finite lifespan into the future.
What you're saying is when you go to the government and you hand it an old, like an expired bond, it doesn't give you the money, it gives you a new bond? That's what you're saying? They roll over the debt?
Most of the time, that's what happens.
That?
yeah.
Oh, you mean they just roll
Some
over
of
the
it,
debt? They
a
don't
small
pay the
proportion
debt?
of it is traded as cash, which is used for fungible requirements
So wait,
where you need
so
to,
what you mean
service
they just roll?
things like paying people,
Fine, but what
for
you mean
example.
is
But the vast majority of it just gets rolled over.
fine. That's okay. All you're saying is that governments in general roll over debts. They don't ever repay, they just roll it over. That's what you're
And
saying.
you know why they do that?
No,
Do you know why they
hold
do
on.
that?
Well, okay, fine. We don't have a disagreement. Fine. All right. That's okay.
Do you know why they do that?
That,
Do you know why they do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they don't.
Why do they do that?
Because they just Obviously, because they can. If I could do that, I would.
Exactly, because they can.
That's
And the reason why
fine.
they can is because the people servicing these debts are taxpayers, and there's an unlimited amount of future tax available to every government. There are no constraints on
I
the
don't think
government's
this
balance
has
sheet.
anything to
Right?
do.
They have an open book.
I don't think
They
this
have an
has
open book on
anything
their
to do
balance
with
sheet.
tax. I don't think it has to do with
That's
tax.
exactly how it works.
If I
That's
could,
exactly how it works.
no, but I don't think that's
The funding for any business is constrained by the ability of that business to raise funds, right? What constrains the ability of a government to raise funds? Nothing. They can generate taxation until they are blue in the face.
No. But I don't think this has anything to do with taxation. I think the reason is ultimately is because the Fed is part of the government, and when the
It's not part of it.
it's not part of the government. It's not a
No.
government agency.
What do you mean by that?
Who owns the Fed? Right, the Fed is I guess, a private institution. It must have owners, right? Who owns the Fed?
I agree that the Fed has owners, but I do not agree that it's a government agency.
I mean, the government created the Fed out of thin air, using legislature. Congress created the Fed out of thin air. So the U.S. government owns it, unless some banks bought part. I think maybe some like the private banks are forced to buy shares of the Fed, but I think the Fed is maybe it's controlled by a government, right? Appointee, a political appointee that can be fired by the president. I mean, the Fed is
You
basically.
need to define what you mean first by a government agency. What do you mean by that?
I mean, so what do you mean? So I mean, the Fed is not a private institution like a bank that I can own, right? I cannot own the Fed. I cannot control the Fed. I cannot go to the Fed and say, "Here's right." The Fed is not publicly traded, so it's privately traded, right? Let's see, who owns the Fed? Who are the
It
shareholders?
seems like you're looking to Google for a lot of your answers. Do you know what an agency means in terms of government?
Hold on. Who are the shareholders of the Federal Reserve? The Federal Reserve System is not owned by anyone. This is from federalreserve.gov. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 by the Federal Reserve Act to serve as the nation's central bank. The Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. is an agency of the federal government. Oh, right. So the Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. is an agency of the federal government and reports to
Right,
and
repeat that first. Repeat that last sentence.
here, I'll paste it 1 second. So the Federal Reserve System is not owned by anyone. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 by the Federal Reserve Act to serve as the nation's central bank. The Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. is an agency of the federal government.
The Board of Governors
Sure.
is an agency, right? Is that the same thing as the Fed? Are the Board of Governors the Fed?
No, they just control.
What's the difference between the Board of Governors and the Fed?
I mean, the Fed would be the assets of the Fed, the balance sheet. Whoever owns the balance sheet, whoever owns
Well,
the
I mean,
assets
to
on
put
the
it in
balance
simpler
sheet.
terms, what's the difference between a company and the Board of Governors or the Board of Directors of a
Right,
company?
the company
What's the
has
difference between those
assets, and the Board of Governors, the directors, they just direct. Usually they usually have
So
shares.
are the Board of Governors responsible for the Fed or not?
But they say here that it's not owned by anyone. So how could that? So it's not. I don't know what that means. If it's not owned by anyone, then who owns the balance sheet? I mean, someone has
Well,
to.
I mean, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting
Wait,
somewhere,
let me
right?
let
Now
me
you're
just
starting to
finish. Let
see
me just finish.
contradictions.
Let me just finish reading the second line. So the Board of Governors, Washington D.C., is an agency of the federal government and reports to and is directly accountable to the Congress. Um, but who
Yeah.
owns? So they say it's not owned by anyone. That doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
Ah, does it?
No, it doesn't make any sense. But this is what the Fed says. No one owns it. So
Anyway, I'll leave that one on a cliffhanger because that's worth exploring in your own time. What's the next topic?
okay, next topic. Central planning does not work. What's your opinion?
Central planning does not work.
I mean, I'm good.
It's a question of scale. It's a question of scale.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Right, because you are the central planner of your life. So obviously, hopefully that works. Yeah. So yeah, I
There's a
mean,
limit to how far you can take it.
yeah.
Not very far, by the way. It's in the order of maybe hundreds of people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, probably not even that. Probably when you already have a family, that's already too far. I think even families are bad, are examples of bad central planning. So I think we agree. Let's continue. Hitler was a socialist. What's your opinion?
It all comes down to definitions again. What's the definition of a socialist?
That's a good question. It's a spectrum, obviously. So, like on one hand, you would have like individualism, and at the other end of the spectrum, you would have socialism. So, in individualism,
Is socialism the other end of that
I
spectrum?
don't know. I mean, okay. So here, let's define it. So,
Wouldn't communism be closer?
what?
Wouldn't communism be closer to the end of that
I
spectrum
don't
than individualism?
distinguish between socialism and communism. I'm not sure.
What's the difference?
I don't know if there is a difference. I mean, it depends
Well,
on.
there is a difference. There is a
I
difference.
mean, there's a difference in, in the actual definition of the word. I mean, communism seems to have the word commune somewhere inside it, and socialism has society somewhere inside it. So it's not clear. But I think in general,
It's commonly accepted though that there is a clear definition. Why don't you ask Google what that definition is?
let me ask. I mean, no. I mean, it does.
Socialism and communism are not the same thing.
Okay, you want to tell me what you feel the difference is?
I know what I think it is.
So tell
but
me. Maybe we agree.
I want to hear what you think it is first,
I think socialism is
because you're telling me that individualism is one end of the spectrum and socialism is the other end. I disagree. I don't think socialism is the other end of the spectrum.
So you think communism? You think socialism is like before communism, but they're both on the left or something? So you would say individualism is on one side of the spectrum, and socialism and communism are on the other side of the spectrum, where communism is more far left.
If you're going to model society as a continuum where it has to be polar opposite, then socialism is not the other end of the individualist spectrum. It's not.
Fine. So
it's close. It's close to the other side, but it's not the end.
Okay, let's take socialist. Socialism says that society is important relatively more than the individual. So it's okay, as Stalin I think said, it's okay to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So we sacrifice the individual on the altar of society. That is socialism. That's the idea. I'm not saying we sacrifice, but I'm saying that's the direction where socialism tends. So on the other side of the spectrum would be individualism, where we sacrifice. We don't need to sacrifice, but we respect the rights of individuals more than in socialism. In socialism, we want to respect the right of the society, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's a collectivist mindset.
Yes,
both of them are collectivist.
Both of communism and socialism are collectivists. Right. Um, that those are the words, but when you actually come to start really thinking about it, um, okay, so I mean, Hitler used the word socialist a lot in his speeches, and in
What
his
was the word he actually used in German? Do you know the word?
no, I read everything in English. Everything he said.
It's important to understand what people actually said, not what was translated and what was later told about them. What was the word that Hitler used?
I never read anything in German from Hitler. Let's see, Hitler speech. How do you spell speech in German? The fact are as follows. First, the Jews are definitely all right. Socialism. Interview with Adolf. We might have called ourselves the Liberal Party. We chose to call ourselves the National Socialists. I mean, so what did he say in German? I don't know. I don't know. National. I don't know. Do you know?
This is one of those translation issues with historical documents that comes up a lot in these debates.
Okay. So what do you know?
I'm not going to go into the details now, mainly because I don't have them to hand. But I think it's worth looking into what Hitler
Oh,
actually
I have
said
it.
and what that word means in German
Got it.
versus the translated version, which is what we're told in English.
All right, hold on. So
Okay, and I'll leave it there because right now I don't have it to hand and I can't give you any more than that. But
I have it. I have it.
that point alone is worth looking into.
I got it. I got it. So there it is. So Nationalsocialisti. It's National Socialist. It's just socialist.
Now you're confusing the translation of National Socialist with
I mean,
the things that Hitler was accused of and later
what do you mean?
sort of hung out to
This
dry
is
for.
this is Google Translate.
Yeah, I'm not arguing about the definition of or the translation of National Socialist. That part is fairly clear.
So, and this is taken from a speech from Hitler. This is a speech. He said that we chose to call ourselves National Socialists.
Yeah, that's not the word I'm talking about. Give me a moment, right?
Sure.
Pick another topic in the meantime. I'll see if I can find the word I'm
Sure.
talking about because it's kind of pivotal if you want to understand how things can be manipulated over time.
Sure. All right. Next topic. Are you a vegan?
I would have already told you if I was.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's a lot of topics that I've already discussed a lot. I want something that I did not discuss a lot. Here's one. Democracy is unjust.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so there you go. Child labor should be legal. Children should be allowed to go to work. What do you think? If they want to go to work, they should be allowed to go to work. We should not have separate laws regarding children
Before
working.
we continue, I think we should probably ask the hosts of this particular server, are you enjoying this? Should we continue?
Well, I'm only here for another 11 minutes either way.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, so
I feel like I've basically hijacked it since I
no,
dropped in just
No, that's what Mr. Slave does.
yeah,
It's not you.
I'm a hijacker.
We had. I know it was initial. We were meeting each other, but then Mr. Slave jumped in, so may as well
Okay.
take this off.
How is it going anyway? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, he did.
I'm enjoying it.
Interesting, different conversation.
It is interesting to hear another voice sort of added in. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. All right.
Good to hear. All right, let's see what we can do in the last 10 minutes or so then.
Yeah. So we have child labor should be legal. The child should decide if they want to go to work and under what conditions, just like an adult.
No, I disagree.
Oh, good.
Oh my god, I do.
All right.
Yes,
One.
I strongly disagree.
Then, okay, but only.
Because you're on a slippery slope of what can a
I
child
know,
consent
I
to.
know, I know, I know. But only one person. So otherwise, it's going to be a shit show. So okay. So child labor should be legal. Wait. So you're saying no? Child labor should not be
Right.
legal.
No, it should
Do
not.
you want to have an opening remark? Do you want to hear me first? Do you want to say something?
Yeah, you can open if you
All
want.
right,
I mean,
I'll
I'll happily open if you want.
yeah, you can
me to
open.
do so.
You can open.
Yeah, I think it stands to reason that children need to be protected during their period of growth, where they sort of mature into adults. That is the phase of development that any being or species, whether it be plant, animal, whatever, they need to be sort of nurtured through that growth phase. They need to be given the chances to grow in strength, in mind, in body and spirit. And if you put them to work into labor, then they may grow, but it's going to be at the expense of something, because they're generating profit for someone else. It's not something of their own volition. They're not making their own choices. They're not actually nurturing their own spiritual growth, which is just as important as physical growth. So no, children should not be put to work.
Okay, but I said here the child should decide if they want to work and under what conditions, just like any adult. I'm not saying forced labor. I'm saying
No,
we should not distinguish between adults and children in reference to work.
no. The parents' job is to guard the child until they're mature, and that means guarding poor decisions as well.
But what if the child really, really wants to work?
That would be a poor decision
How
by
do
the
you
child,
know?
and the parents' job would be to stop them from doing it.
Wait, who are we to decide what's a poor decision for a child? I mean, the child really wants to.
Well, as the natural guardian of the child, the parent is obliged to do that.
What do you mean natural? There's nothing natural. You could say it's legal, but it's not natural.
It's completely natural, and it's the natural order of things.
What if the
The
child?
parent is the natural guardian of the
What do
child.
you mean natural? If the child says, "I don't care for my parents, they are completely I don't want them in my life. I wanna go to work. I wanna get a job, go to work, make a living, get my own place at any age. It doesn't matter what age. Certainly before 18. But you know,
They're entitled to hold that opinion, but until they reach an age where they can actually defeat their parents, then they are not actually entitled
what do you mean
to do
defeat?
anything about it.
What do you mean defeat?
Well, if they hold a position so strongly that they feel like they need to like beat their parents into submission over
What
it,
do you mean?
so
I
be it.
don't understand. I mean, all we have is a legal framework. The child.
Legal frameworks are written by men,
Yes,
so
exactly.
they're susceptible to flaws and
Yeah,
errors, and
exactly.
they are full of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All you have is legal. There's nothing natural
They're
about.
based on natural law, though.
What do you
They're
mean
based on
natural?
natural law, and
What do you mean natural law?
natural order of
What do you
things
mean
is
natural
that
order
the
of things?
parent will look after the child until it can take care of itself.
But what if the child can take care of itself early on? The child is very smart. It can work. It can get a job.
I would expect the parent to acknowledge that and to let the child free at that point, because they would know their child better than anyone.
Better than the child knows itself.
Yes,
How do you
because
know
they've
that?
got not only the
what's your
experience
evidence?
of the child's lifetime, but they've
What's
got their own lifetime.
what's your
as well to fall
evidence?
back on.
What's your evidence that the parent knows the child better than the child knows itself?
Well, it depends what you would constitute as evidence,
Right.
but the child only has their own experience to fall on, whereas the parent has the child's experience and their own experience. So, if you want to play top trumps, then they win.
So you stopped this at 18, right?
According to the law,
Right.
that's when it stops in some countries.
Right. In some countries, right.
But I think the right place for it to stop is when the parents and the child agree that the child is ready to move into the world on their own steam.
But according to the law, that's impossible. The child can never go to work. I mean, there are laws preventing children from going to work. That's another problem. Let's discuss this. Let's say the parents actually support the child getting a job, but the children cannot work until very late. I mean, they can work illegally.
If you're defining a child as what the law defines a child as, then I would say the law is subservient to the parent. Although that's not the case in reality. If you were prosecuted, the law would win, but in reality, nature wins, and the parent knows better than the law.
No, let's say the parent and the child agree, but the child cannot be independent, right? Let's say the child puts together a business plan and and knows what to do and wants to build a business. The child cannot even own the business. The parents have to own, or the guardian has to own, or someone has to own the business. The child cannot own the business. And sometimes you have these cases of children who made a lot of money and the parents just stole their money. And
yeah, it's a bit of an edge case. It doesn't happen that often.
How do you know?
But when that does happen, that's why the law exists. It's to try and settle these disputes.
How do you know the stats? I mean, all you know is the famous cases. You don't know. Maybe this happens all the time. How do you know it?
It's why the law exists, isn't it? It's sort of an arbiter of these situations.
I mean, the fact is, a child can work really hard and cannot own the business it creates. Does this sound like justice?
Unfortunately, life is not fair, and the child needs to learn that lesson above all else.
Why? Why does the child need to learn this lesson that life is not fair? Why do we create an unfair life? Why not just allow children to own businesses? Why are we?
That would be an absolutely appalling situation for the vast majority of people who go into business. They would mostly fail, and they would mostly ruin the people that are backing their business.
Wait, hold on. So a child, well, I don't understand. A child can put together a business plan, go to investors, tell them, I need so and so, such and such to create this business. And they love it. They love the idea. And they see this child is an amazing little business guy and they want to give him the money.
You're talking about a corner case out of a multitude of edge cases.
Let's talk about
in that extreme scenario that you're presenting.
How do you,
in that particular scenario, it might be justifiable.
How do you know?
That does not mean that everyone is in that same position.
These cases come in front of like TV shows like The Sharks all the time. That you have these children.
Yes, because they're corner cases, because they're interesting.
But these children create businesses and the parents own the business. Does this sound like justice? Why are we preventing the child from owning? You could say, okay, we want to protect the child. How are you protecting the child? You're forcing the child to hand over his business to his parents. His parents didn't work hard to create this business.
You start off by saying, should we put children to work? And a child running a business is not the same thing as putting children to work.
Wait a minute. So you agree that we should allow children to own businesses? So let's get whatever we agree out of the way. So if you're saying that we only disagree on something else, then you agree that children should be allowed to own businesses.
I agree that anyone who's sufficiently competent to run a business should be allowed to run a business.
Sufficiently competent. I mean, if a child,
they're able to run the business.
Who are we to judge? A child wrote up a business plan.
The business owners generally judge that. It's usually determined by It's usually determined by accountants.
Wait a minute.
It's not up to you to judge that.
Wait, but why are we even judging it? I mean, a child can create. If we just allow a child to create a business, it will either succeed or fail. Why do we need to say, well, why are we?
There's nothing stopping a child from doing that.
Wait, what?
There's nothing stopping a child from running a cash-producing business that happens to be unregistered by the law.
So how can the child? I mean, the child wants to own shares.
Have you never seen a lemonade stand? Have you never seen a lemonade stand before?
Legal. They often get shut down by the police. Either
Do
way,
they generate a profit or not?
I mean, but no, I'm saying legal.
Do they generate a profit or not? It's a yes or no question.
No, but it's not legal. I mean,
Does it need to be legal to generate a
I'm
profit?
talking about legal. I'm saying legal. Obviously, children.
Does it need to be legal to actually work,
Uh,
to run as a business?
Yeah. I want the child to have insurance, and this needs, this needs to be a normal
Okay, right.
business.
So what you're saying is, should we allow children to run legal businesses?
Yes.
No, we should not.
Why not?
Because the law mandates
Why?
certain structures, and
Why
one of
do
those
you
structures
support?
is the age of majority,
Why?
which is the
Why?
definition of
Why
who can
should
run
we
a
care
business.
about the age of whoever owns a business that they created out of thin air?
Because that's the way the law works.
No,
You
why?
got to
So let's
codify
change
things.
it. Do you agree we should change it?
No, I don't.
Why?
No, I think children who are sufficiently motivated should go out into the world and make money, whether or not it's legal.
Wait, what?
And they will do that anyway, whether or not the law enables it.
So, okay, why? Fine. Why do you not support changing the law so that children can create businesses? Question mark.
Because it won't help anyone. Nobody gets
The
prosecuted
question is,
for
would it
children
hurt
making money.
anyone? Why should we care?
It wouldn't help anyone. It wouldn't help
Okay,
anyone. It would just
so you
complicate
agree?
matters.
Okay. So you agree it's not going to hurt anyone.
You gotta remember why the law exists, right? It's not to help the people who can do these things. It's to help the people who can't. It's to help the people who need the help. The ones who don't need the help are going to go off and do it anyway.
Why should the legislature care how old a shareholder is of a business? Why?
They don't care. They don't care
If
at
they
all.
don't care, then you're saying children can own a business.
Do you think legislators care about the law?
Wait. Hold on. Maybe there is no law. How old?
It's not a matter of caring
do
about it. It's
I
just a matter of
need to
enforcing
be
what is written
to
down.
hold
It's just a system.
shares?
It's just a system of rules.
To start investing in stocks on their own, your kid will need a brokerage account, and they must be at least 18 years old to open one. So you
Yes.
cannot own shares, at least not in a publicly
That's
traded.
right.
They can start earlier than this, but they'll need a parent or guardian to open custodial accounts. So it's custodial; it's not theirs. The parents can steal the money, can siphon the money.
Yeah, there are many other reasons why this is a bad idea, but the main reason why it's a bad idea is because anybody who's actually capable of running a business will just go and do it. There's nothing the law can do to stop them.
What do you mean? It's not, but they can't own the business. They can't own it legally.
They can, they just can't register it legally.
What do you mean?
And that does not stop people from making money.
It doesn't exist. What do you mean? I want to put together a business, right? A business.
You're talking about legal businesses. That's a
Yes.
fraction of the world's money supply and businesses. That doesn't actually include all of the businesses.
Why do you want to stop a child from creating a business? What's the benefit to the universe?
I want to stop children from creating legal businesses
Why?
because legal means a framework in which you have to recognize certain things, one of which is the age of majority, the age at which
Why
you're
do you
able to
care?
do these things.
Why do you care?
Just that's the way the law is structured.
No, but
it's designed to
why?
help people who need the
Oh,
help.
so you
It's
agree?
sort of a framework.
Wait, so you agree that that's just the way the law is? So you agree that we should change the law because it doesn't make any sense. You didn't give a reason.
No, I don't agree that we
So what's
should change
the
the law.
reason?
I think the law is necessary for
Why?
people who need it.
Why? What's the benefit?
The same way,
Mhm.
the same way that people need to be told not to murder each other. You know, some people need to be told that, but most people get
Wait,
it.
what's the benefit to humanity in prohibiting the age of 18 and under from owning shares in companies? What's the benefit to humanity?
Benefit to humanity. I think that's a very difficult question to answer.
So you don't have an answer.
You need to look
So fine,
at.
so we agree.
You need to look at the reasons why these rules were
Fine, so
ever
you
created.
don't, fine,
in the
you
first
can
place.
look into it, but for now we don't have an answer. So we agree we should change the law. Children, there should be no age limit on owning stocks. We agree.
We do not agree.
Wait, you just said we agree. You said you need to look at the
We
law.
do not agree.
That implicitly says you don't.
Everything that has a legal framework attached to it should be strictly adhered to by the law.
But the question
That's the way the law
question
works,
is,
right?
should
If you believe in the rule of law, then you need to stick to the law.
That's irrelevant. I'm asking, should we change the law? Right? Here is the law. Let me copy paste
The
it.
law is flexible. You can change it all
So
you want,
should
right?
we?
But
So
change it
should
and stick
we?
to it.
Should we change the law?
No, we should.
Wait, but I asked
No.
you, what's the harm to humanity, and you didn't have an answer.
I'm not saying there's any harm to humanity.
Why?
All
Why
I'm
do we
saying
have
is
this law?
that if there was a compelling reason to change the law, it would have probably been
So
done
you
by now.
agree that there is no compelling reason for this law? You agree? There's no.
I agree. There's no compelling reason to change the law.
Wait, no. Do you think there is a compelling reason for this law? Yes or no?
I agree that there is no evidence that any law needs to be changed. Otherwise, it would have been done already.
So you refuse to answer my question. All right, good.
The law is a very flexible thing.
Okay, you're
It's
not
not a
answering the
static
question.
document.
I asked the question. You're refusing to answer it.
It evolves. It
You're
evolves
still not answering my
continuously
question.
based on
You're
testing
not answering.
things.
You're not answering, which is fine. I mean,
And to date, it has been tested
you are
continuously
not answering my
from the
question.
beginning of the law until present day.
You're not answering.
And so far,
Not
the
answering.
law agrees children should not run businesses. It's a bad idea.
You did not answer my question. I gave you multiple chances. Instead, you hogged the mic and still no answer. So I guess we'll
Anyway, I think we've overrun the 10 minutes that you said that we were
yes,
about to
6
run out.
minutes over time. Yes, I have to go kill myself now.
Yeah.
All right, man. You
All right.
are amazing. Well, you are Zombie Dave.
I am.
I will send.
Pleasure to meet you. What was your name?
Mr. Slave, they call me.
Mr. Slave.
Yeah,
I look forward to running into you again sometime.
sent you-
Hopefully not here though. I don't think these people deserve it.
I sent you a friend request, so kindly accept my
All right.
friend request. Anyway, guys, thank you everyone for hosting. I had a great time. I learned a lot of stuff. It was amazing. Thank you so much. I'm gonna leave now.
See ya.
So did we.
Uh,
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. All right. Still no one on my stream. Oh my god. Is the audio still running? Yes. This was a good debate. Oh, I hope someone listens to it one day. All right, guys. I'm gonna go kill myself. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.